Welcome to the Here Nor There podcast. I am your host, Shaun, and today we are going to be discussing the power of the mental diet. The mental diet is a very important process whenever you're indulging in any form of self-improvement, improving the conditions of your life, whether it be in health, wealth, or in your relationships. It is very important to exercise a mental diet, especially in the year 2026. But before we get into that, I want to put out a special invitation just to you. We had a very successful workshop last month with the Money Mastery Workshop, where for about 3 or 4 hours, we went through my deepest frameworks, my actual Money Mastery Manual course, and we taught the neuroscience behind money. All of the secrets, the neuroscience, the mindset it takes to achieve wealth in this reality. But this month, we're bringing it back with the Self-Concept Summit. This is going to be a 2-day event, May 16th, May 17th. That's Saturday, May 16th, Sunday, May 17th. A 2-day event where I walk you through my deepest frameworks about how to change your self-concept. So whether you're trying to improve your relationship life, your money life, or just how you see yourself, how you see your business, how you see whatever value you put out into the world, this is the workshop for you. So again, May 16th, May 17th. The link will be in this description. And also if you're a subscriber to the YouTube channel, it'll be there as well. So with that being said, let's get back into our topic today. And that is of the mental diet, which is no different than the physical diet that we go through. If you're trying to lose weight, it's spring now, the summer is getting ready to come in. If you're trying to lose weight, you are trying to lose fat. And typically you would embark on some type of calorie restriction. Maybe you ate a little bit too much during the winter, during the holidays. Let yourself go a little bit. And you weren't as disciplined with your physical diet. And then the physical body actually gets out of shape a little bit. The muscles aren't being used over those winter months. And then now we're going into those summer months, those vacation months. Not necessarily in the best physical condition. So typically what we will do, what's always advised to do, is to go on a diet. And a diet is essentially restricting bad calories, but also bringing in better, denser, nutrient-dense calories. A diet isn't about not eating at all. It's about not eating the wrong things and eating more of the right things. Back to our mental diet. That's essentially what it is. Sometimes the collective wants to make it a lot more difficult than it actually is. But once again, our favorite 2 words have arrived on the scene, and that is discipline and consistency. With discipline and consistency, any diet will become a lot easier. But it's not always the easiest when you first start out. It's not guaranteed to be easy when you first start out. But through discipline and consistency is where we separate the powerful from the pretenders. That's what it takes to have a successful mental diet. Is being more disciplined with the thought and the feelings that you are projecting out into the world, out into your professional environment, your personal life, your relationships, any and every part of your life. What are you projecting out there? And what are you allowing in as well? Because what you allow your mind to feed on is what's going to manifest in your life over and over again. So the equation for success that I have for this, my personal mantra that I give my students, that I use even for myself in my own private life, is you feed your mind, you starve your doubts. Feed your mind, starve your doubts. That's how you fight negative thinking, negative feelings, negative emotions. You don't wrestle with them. You don't argue with them. You don't fight them. You starve them. The first thing that most people do is try to yell back at the child or raise their voice or get into some type of disciplinary mode and scare the child. And if you ever noticed, the child will cry more, scream more, throw a larger tantrum, if you will, because that's not the key. The solution is to not give it your attention or so much of your attention. Think about it like this. Whatever you give back to that child is what you're going to receive. So when you meet a screaming child, a child that's crying, throwing a tantrum, and you meet them with calmness, with firmness, that's typically what's going to get the child to calm down. And I want you to take that I want you to take that analogy and apply it to negative thinking, because negative thinking, negative feeling is essentially these inner temper tantrums that our ego is throwing. And how do you defeat this? By simply not giving it so much attention. You don't fight them. You starve them out. But here's a better analogy for you to incorporate this in your life on a daily basis. Think about if you walk into a dark room. You don't fight the darkness, if you will. You're not a fairy tale hero. You don't fight the darkness and you're going to abolish the darkness and ban it from the kingdom. You're not going to do that. You're going to simply turn on the light. You balance out the negative in life by giving more attention to the positive. So this is the equivalent of turning on a light in a dark room. That's what you're going to do. With the negative thinking, the negative feelings, the negative emotions, the negative memories, you're going to combat them with positive. And this is not this high vibration sort of thing where you're not allowed to feel negative or have an off day or off moment. No, you don't dwell there. You don't make that your residence. You don't set up shop there and stay there all day, every day. That's typically the problem. And every single time that somebody pushes back on positive thinking, that there's this backlash to positive thinking, it's because that person does not know how to incorporate that type of thinking into their life on a daily basis, on a practical level. That's what it always is. It's frustration with having tried it and failed at it. Having tried it and it wasn't easy, so therefore something's wrong. No. Discipline and consistency will keep you on the road to success every single time. So if you're disciplined and consistent with the effort to balance out the negative thinking with the positive, you're on your way. But the mental diet, back to that, the mental diet, whatever you are absorbing in, that's what the problem is. That's typically where the problem lies. It's the things that we take in. I work with a lot of people on their relationships, transforming how they see themselves in love and how they see their lovers. Repairing relationships, whether they be romantic, familiar, because all those things matter. The first thing I do is I ask somebody, what are they watching every day? What are you consuming every day? Are you consuming content that is beneficial to that outcome that you want to receive in your relationships? Do you watch a lot of reality shows of people fighting, arguing, toxic behavior, drama, live for the drama, make money off the drama? If that's what you're indulging on a day-to-day basis, that's what you're eating. That's no different than eating Snicker bars every day, zebra cakes, apple pies. It's not going to put you in the best of health. But if you're indulging more in vegetables and more nutrient-dense foods, you're drinking a lot of water, keeping yourself hydrated, that's going to produce the effect of that. That's the cause, and the effect is a healthy body. It's the same with what we watch on TV, what we indulge in on social media, what we indulge in on the internet. If you're constantly absorbing negativity, broken relationships, toxic relationships, then inevitably it's going to manifest into your life. So the first thing that I instruct is to remove social media. Give it 30 days. Two things are going to happen. One, it's going to be there when you get back. And two, you're going to feel a lot better within the first 7 days. Because typically what you don't want in your life, that's what you're watching the most. So when I first start working with a client, the first thing that I'm going to recommend, the first thing I'm going to prescribe is to remove all these negative influences. Social media, reality shows, anything that is not contributing to the positive outcome that my client wants to experience. It's just as simple as that. That's half the battle. Yes, we get into the different structures of repairing relationships and repairing your memories to these relationships. But if you're constantly taking in garbage, you're going to constantly manifest garbage. That's the start of the mental diet. And then from there, you'll find that it will always be a lot more easier. It'll be a much easier road if you're not fighting that uphill battle of absorbing so much negative content that goes against your biggest desires. Second thing is how to handle negative thinking whenever it does rear its head. It's simply parading. It's a simple parade float. Imagine you're at the Macy's Day Parade, the Thanksgiving parade, and you're watching floats go by. If you see a float that you do not like, you don't hop the guardrail, knock over the cops, and try to burn down the float. You don't try to burn it down, destroy it. You don't. You simply let it go by. I don't like that float. That float's not my cup of tea. That's not my vibe. I don't like the way they did it. What else is there? What else is coming? Oh, I like that one. Let me pay more attention to that one. Look at negative thoughts as a parade, positive thoughts as a parade, and you just want to put your attention on the floats, the thoughts, the feelings that matter. As best as possible. You do not have to be perfect at this. That's another misconception, that you can never make a mistake. You can never slip back into a negative thought for a few moments. Again, the name of the game is not perfection, it's progress. You don't stay there. The human mind, the ego, is naturally going to drift there. But where is your place of residence on a daily basis? Is it with those thoughts? Is it with those things that are drawing your attention? Is it with those programs, those things that on social media that feed into that negative thinking? Or is it with the positive? That's a huge part of the negative thinking process. But the bigger part of the mental diet is learning to move energy into control of thought and not so much control of circumstances. That's the largest part. That's the largest piece of this puzzle. Get control of your thought, not control your circumstances. Too many times people try to force their circumstances to bend to their will, when really you're bending your will and your circumstances will reflect that. You're changing that mental loop. You're not indulging in these things that I just laid out to not indulge in. And there's going to be a natural byproduct of handling your negative thoughts in a certain way, because there's not going to be so many bombarding you every day. There's not going to be so many of those things in your life every day trying to vie for your attention. A lot of this is about forgiveness, and I discuss forgiveness ad nauseum within my program. I always say that God's biggest gift to us, God's greatest gift to us, is the gift for forgiving and the gift to forget. It's actually a divine blessing to be able to forget. Now, it could be a little bit troublesome when we're trying to remember why we are the way we are, when we're trying to dig up limiting beliefs and we have to do a lot of work. But the ability to forget, and you're not being a victim of the negative things that have happened in life and the negative circumstances that might be present around, that you have the ability to forget and you're not chained to those memories all day, every day. But when you consciously want to forget something, when you consciously want to forget the feeling of something, forgiveness is the biggest thing that you can do. It's the only thing that you can do, because that's how you really cement whatever you are changing in your mental diet. You starve out those negative constructs, those negative programs, the negative things that are not in alignment with what you want out of life, out of your relationships, out of your wealth, out of your money. And you're giving more attention to the things that are going to grow, the things that are going to make you happy, more fulfilling. And the easiest way to do that is through forgiveness of the past, forgiveness of yourself, forgiveness of how people may have done you in the past, forgiveness for the mistakes you made. Once you execute this forgiveness, you are not that person anymore. And the more you act like it, the more life shows you that you're not. So for the next 30 days, I always like to leave my listeners, my dedicated, loyal listener, with something to walk away with. For the next 30 days, I want you to journal. And I'm an advocate for scripting, but journaling is just as important, because scripting is writing about what you're going to be, and journaling is writing about who you are today. Putting your thoughts on paper so you can realize the loops and the patterns that are going on in your life. So for the next 30 days, I want you to sit down once a day at least and write your thoughts out, and write out your reactions to whatever events that happen in your life. This is going to help you identify the patterns and build up that self-awareness, build up your reticular activating system that's on 24/7. And now you can see the patterns that you're falling into. You might see the patterns of whatever you're indulging in, the type of content that you're indulging in. You might see the patterns of the type of people that you're hanging out with. You might see the patterns of the thinking that you're going through that leads to negative actions. That's all it takes, is awareness. And once you see this pattern, it's going to be liberating. It's going to give you freedom. because now you see that there's something going on that maybe your awareness wasn't attuned to before, which means you can do something about it. And then you go back through the framework that I just laid out on how to fix it, and then forgive so you can forget and move on to the better timelines, to the better realities. So for 30 days, do an inventory on your thoughts and your reactions to life's events. How are you reacting if you perceive a setback? How are you reacting if you perceive a disappointment? However you react, your reality responds. If you are the confident person, you respond with confidence, and reality will manifest a confident reality, a reality for you to experience as a confident person. But if you react as a victim, you always get the victim reality. Always being victimized, always being second best, third best, never being a priority. When you start to respond from a person that is a priority, reality starts to take notice. It starts to change. It starts to match that. Test it and see. With all of these principles, they only work through experience. They are experiential frameworks. You just don't lay down and do a SATS technique, a visualization technique, a affirmation, and expect there to be no type of resistance. Because the resistance, that's what makes you strong. When people hit the gym, they indulge in resistance exercises because that's what makes the body strong, and also the mind, also the nervous system. So when you start to respond differently to negative thoughts, negative feelings, negative emotions, reality will respond differently to you. I am Shaun, and you are neither here nor there. Thank you for sharing your time and space with me.